Good morning, good morning, good morning. What a way to start the morning. Another round of applause for our Reverend, please. What a way to start the morning. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your stories. My goodness, it is our pleasure to be able to be with you, to be able to kickstart this amazing conference as well. And what a great segue into not only the stories that we have when we talk about, you were speaking of your grandmother, and that generational cross and that generational reach that we have. And it makes me think of maybe some of those thoughts that we have, because for many of us, as we are working with multiple generations of families, and many of us are representing and working with, well, many generations of even those co-workers that are out there, I get a chance sometimes to be able to think even to my story as well, too, and some quotes that kind of remind me of one of these. Having children makes you no more a parent than a piano and a pianist. Just because you have a child doesn't mean that we are always that active parent. So maybe the challenge for you and I is to be able to raise our game, but also to be able to understand that the families that we work with and the children that we work with have a huge impact on us. And sometimes they listen to you, don't they? And sometimes they don't. Don't be discouraged if your children reject your advice. Years later, they will offer it to their own offspring. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different here today, because today we're going to be able to do something called the Generational Crossroads. And the Generational Crossroads speaks to our agency. Again, my name is Eric. My last name is Rolls. And have you ever met one of those young people in your life in any kind of way whatsoever who knew how to push your buttons? And what happens when they know how to push your buttons? What do they do? Over and over and over again, right? Is that not true? Have you ever had one of those elements where at the time they push buttons over and over and over again to the point where on a Friday, you and I are driving home thinking like, this is not worth the money. I got to get another job somehow as well too, because I can't take this anymore. And the reason why I know this is because not only have I done that drive home, but truth be told, I was that kid. I was that kid who pushed you so much and pushed you so much and pushed you so much that at some point, the people that I lived with and the schools that I went to and the program said, you're no longer welcome here, Mr. Rolls. Eric, you are no longer welcome here. So I was kicked out of that one, and then I found a place who took me in. And they took me in. They said, not only are you welcome here, but you will stay here for approximately 9 months. See, I was temporarily detained, is what I like to be able to speak to, at a place called the Twin Pines Boys Correctional Facility right outside of Los Angeles as well. Reverend and I share a West Coast connection as well. And I am that kid who's been on the other end of the tracks. I am that kid who, by all statistics, should not be here today. And angels in our lives, a gentleman by the name of Michael Connor was the angel in my life. And he changed my world around, and the man did not give up on me. I'm here because of O'Connor. The reason why we started this training agency is because, well, 3 reasons. Number 1, I think you're an O'Connor to somebody. I think you are an angel to someone. And so many of the times, we got a chance to be able to travel across the country. And as a recovering school teacher, because that's what I am, as a recovering social worker, because that's what I am, but also as someone who's worked with young people from highest elements of risk and extreme to those that don't even know when you talk about positive assets and resiliency. They've never even seen that in their world, even though they are here because they embody that resilience every single day. But I believe you're an O'Connor to someone. That's the reason why we started this training agency, and this is what we get a chance to be able to do. But the second reason why we started this training agency, this leading change agency, was, let's be real, how many of us have ever been victim of painful, boring training? Raise your hand, raise your hand. You know exactly what I mean, right? So for the next 47 minutes, I'm going to read for you 50 years in nonprofit advocacy and juvenile justice. I worked with Bank of America and Disney. 30 states, and I thought, I can't do it anymore. I can't sit through any more of these trainings. We believe that training should never be boring. I don't care what it is. Your staff development programs, strategic planning, that training with those young people, that training with those families, whatever it is, a keynote conference to be able to kickstart the conference should never, ever be boring. And so we started this agency with that element in mind. The last reason why we started this agency is because I wanted to be able to work with some of the most amazing people, including, if you look up on the picture there, we have about 35 trainers. They represent 4 different generations in our team, and my goodness, we sometimes work real well, but like you and your colleagues that you work with, sometimes we clash as well, because do you realize how much time you spend with each other? Sometimes more than even the people around us as well. Today, you're going to get a chance to be able to meet with 2 of those, because I want to start this agency to be able to represent and bring some of the most amazing trainers across the country as well. Now, we have a short amount of time with you today. You're going to hear their stories. You're going to hear kind of where we all come from. But what I want you to do right now is I want you to be able to think about this. part of my bio that was not kind of explained as well is I also used to be a professional DJ. And so as a DJ, I've realized that whether it's working with people like, well, the first concert I ever got a chance to be able to go was the first concert ever. I was backstage with a guy by the name of Quincy Jones. And he was bringing this group that had just kind of got big. This was actually the Palladium Theater in Los Angeles. And a group of gentlemen called Boys to Men was the first time that we got a chance to be able to bring them up on the stage. From Boys to Men to Billy Joel, from Billy Joel to even George Lopez and Maya Angelou and everyone in between. What I found early on was that music has a way of kind of taking you back. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever had that experience where sometimes that music takes you back? You hear that song, you're like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. We talk about that generational reach, Reverend, but I'm thinking like, sometimes, well, for us to understand those people we work with, because I don't know if you've experienced it or not, someone who's a little bit younger, a little bit older than you, you're working with them, and next thing you know, they say something, and you think, what are you thinking? And how could you believe that? For us to understand them, we have to first understand where we come from. So I want you to be able to go back a little bit. I want you to be able to think about this. Have you ever been in your car, right? You've been in your car, and that song comes on. That takes you back, you're like, oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying as well, too. And you start moving up and down and And if there's a young person in the car with you, in the passenger side, they look at you with absolute horror and terror that you should move that kind of way. Because you're not allowed to have those kind of moves. And of course, they start slumping down the seat. You're like, this is music, right? And the more they slump down the seat, that gives you permission to what? Turn it up. You're like, oh, this is it. And depending on how old of a car you're rocking, you either can push or roll down the window. You're like, oh. My friends, I'm going to ask you to do two things really, really simple. You won't have to sing it. You won't have to perform it. But I want to know for you, back in the day, what was one of those songs that takes you back in the day to your childhood, to your adolescence? For some of us, that was just yesterday. For some of us, that was yesterday plus a couple other days. And that's all right as well. But you're back in the day. What I want to know at your table is very simple. I want to know what was one of the songs that take you back in the day. And the other question I want to be able to know tied into there is, how are you listening to it? Now, here's how this is going to work. This is going to get real, real loud, 3-minute conversation. Cameras going to be going on as well, too. In order to be able to make this work, though, here's what happens. Would you please put that right hand guiding hand up? Right hand guiding hand. Right hand guiding up, please. All right hands guiding hand. Because we can say on your mark, set, go. We're going to turn some music on, and then you look at each other going, who's going to go first? I don't know. You going to go first? I don't know. Maybe we just won't go. Maybe he'll never call on us. I don't know. Let's not do it as well, too. Hands up, please, hands up, guiding hands, because on the count of 3, I want you to be able to pick someone at your table that you want to hear from. You're going to be able to turn your guiding hand, you're going to point to them. Whoever has the most hands pointing to them, they go first. Get ready. 1, 2, 3, go, go. Come on. Oh, let's go. Come on. What was that song back in the day? Come on, back in the day, come on. 1 minute left. Round of applause at your table, please. Now, Miss Pat Kelsaw, Mr. Ahmed Torre, we've got a couple folks here. I'm looking for just 2 examples right now. 2 examples.
Somebody
what
have
was
an
one of the
example
songs?
for
You don't have
me?
to sing it or perform it. What's one of the songs?
Oh, we got one right here. What's your name,
Would you
ma'am?
please tell us your name?
I'm Jessica Hunter.
And where do you work, Jessica?
I work for Thornwell Children's Home.
Very good. And Jessica, take us back in the day for you. What's that song takes you back in the day, friend?
I said Mbop from Hanson.
She's rocking Hanson.
Bless her heart.
Mbop. Mbop. Come on. Mr. Ahmed Torre over there as well, too. Ahmed, I need to have someone back in the day. Come on, someone help me out here. Someone help me out.
Julie?
Yes, please, if you would. Your name is?
I had to come find Julie because she was hiding.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
All right.
Your
so
name,
if you would share your name for us?
I'm Julie.
And where do you work, my friend?
First Steps, Lexington County.
I'm so glad that you're here today. Take me back in the day, if you would, please.
Wasn't a particular song, but I thought of Poison from the 80s.
Okay.
How high was your hair, Julie?
It didn't fit in a picture.
Ching, ching, ching. Right
She
over
still
here.
probably has that Aquanet hairspray,
That's good, that's
right?
good. Come on, last one there,
All
Miss
right,
Kelsaw. Come on, let's go.
I ain't got no satisfaction.
I ain't got no satisfaction.
Representing the Rolling Stones.
But do you have a name?
I do have a name.
Okay.
Karen Warren.
Round of applause, Karen, please.
All
Round of
right,
applause, Karen,
Karen.
please.
Woo-hoo.
Listen, again, what we're going to do in our short amount of time with you today is I want to share with you just a couple things that you and I can do to be able to raise our game, to be able to make that generational cross that Reverend talks about, to be able to get a chance to be able to understand that for so many of the communities that you and I work with, but also for our stories and our journeys. We did not come here on our own volition. We did not come here because of only our own strengths, but because of people that held us up and people who have actually allowed us to be able to stand on their shoulders. That said, we come from a different perspective, sometimes than the people even at your table as well. Take a look here, because this might represent a little bit of your generational identity. You and I have so many different diversities tied into us. We're going to be doing a session later on today, this afternoon, called Beyond Race, how you utilize diversity and social justice with your young people. But for today, we're looking at the diversity of our generations, and take a look here, because on that left-hand side might be one of the years that you were born. You have to say it out loud. But then take a look and follow it over to the very, very far right, and you may find these may have been some of the things that occurred to you during your adolescence if you grew up in the United States. Because we can't make that assumption. Not all of us did. I am being one of those. As a military kid, I found myself spending most of my time away from the United States until my temporary detainment. But take a look. It happens like this. Silent generation came up in a time, listen, man, and so all of a sudden it was Johnny and Rosie. Johnny and Rosie been together, and they actually got married really, really early. And then Johnny went to war. And when Johnny went to war, Rosie went to work, and she was the original Si Se Puede. She was the original Yes We Can, and she went to work not out of liberation, but because Uncle Sam wants you. She was Rosie the Riveter. And Rosie went to work, and it changed the dynamic of this entire room. Because think about who's in this room, and if we looked at this room 70 years ago, the dynamic and the demographic of this room would be so different. Wouldn't you agree? See, big things happen in our life that make an impact on how we look at the world. And for many of the women in our own families, one of the first women that actually was paid for their time and for their work comes from this generation. That might be a grandparent, that might be a parent, that might be a Mima, that might be even kind of a great, you decide how that is. But what happens is, Johnny is at war, Rosie is at work, and then the war is won. Johnny comes marching home again, and hurrah, hurrah, right? And Johnny and Rosie haven't seen each other in a long, long time, and they get really, really happy.
Real happy.
Like real, real happy.
Real happy. Marvin Gaye.
Like Marvin Gaye happy, yeah. Right? So like real happy, right? See, it's a song called Let's Get It On. And so all of a sudden then what happens is boom, big generation, and this generation comes up, and this generation of boomers come up, and all of a sudden the hair starts getting a lot wider, and the pants start getting a little bit wider, and the skirts start coming a little bit higher, and the generation that learned we are the biggest ever, and if you don't like what you see, you organize and you fight. We have a room of fighters in this room. Our boomers in this room learned early on how to be the original rebels. They learned how to be able to fight, and if someone holds you back because of the color of your skin, you organize. And if someone holds you back because of the gender that you hold, you organize, and you push against that glass ceiling. So many things happen with a generation, and they went to work. And as they went to work, they had less kids than ever, but they gave birth to a small generation, this Generation X. And X came up in a time, see, X is they're like, oh yeah, that's me. X comes up in a time, and they remember when the Challenger exploded. They remember when MTV happened, and they also remember that there was a time when generations before them said, these kids are broken. In 1984, a report came out called A Nation at Risk, and it said, children today are broken, we have to be able to fix them. And so what we did is we created brochures. And we gave them to these young people and said, young man, this is going to be for you, and it's going to have 3 words going to change your life. 3 words, and Nancy will tell you this over and over again. She'll tell you, just say, no. Did it work? No. Well, I guess they are very good. But so the generation that came up, and then another generation came up right behind them, and then Xers had kids, but then boomers said, hey, we want to jump in on that as well too. Let's have a kid later on in life. And all of a sudden, the biggest generation we'd ever seen, the millennial generation, Y2K, the class of 00. Who remembers Y2K? Remember what's supposed to happen on Y2K and what did not happen on Y2K. But they learned early on that you can be anything you want to be. And they believed it until 12 years ago today. Because that hope came down as quick as two towers. You and I are navigating 4 different generations and even a 5th generation, little ones that are 12 years old or younger, part of a 5th generation. And we navigate the differences every single day. Today, in our short time with you, we're going to give you just some things I want you to think of how we bridge those divides by still keeping our generational identity. That 5th generation, that generation that's coming up, they're being called the digital natives. They're also being called the pluralists because they're the first generation that was born under a demographic that the majority of them do not represent a 50% ethnic identity. It's the first time ever that our young people experience this. But they're also being called the homelanders because they come in the time of homeland. Today for them, security and importance of having something they can count on is great, but we're not talking about the homelanders or the millennials or the baby boomers or the Xers in just one. We're getting a chance to be able to do a lightning round of all of those, including, I would like to be able to introduce to you, if you would, one of our great staff members and a great friend. She is a boomer, and where are my boomers at? Where are my boomers at? She's a boomer. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Pat Kelsaw. Miss Pat Kelsaw.
Back in the day, okay? That's me back in the day. I gained 40 pounds in 40 years, okay? That's a pound a year when you look at it that way, okay? Yes, indeed. Now, let me tell you something. I got a little bit of time here, and Eric will kill me if I go over. But I have to tell you, you got to understand boomers. We are the original recyclers. We don't throw anything away. We got that from our parents, members of the silent generation, because when that TV antenna broke on that television set, what did you do? You got those flyers, and you got that coat hanger, and you kept those special pliers on top of that TV because you still had to change that channel. You didn't throw that bag away that bread came in because you could put last night's dinner in it and have it for lunch the next day, okay? Eric mentioned that boomers organize, and I want you to remember, organize equals meet. Organize equals meet. Boomers love to meet. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what you're thinking. And we got to have a meeting prior to the meeting to talk about the retreat and have a meeting with the committee for a task force to talk about what we're going to have for lunch at the retreat. And then we got to have an ad hoc committee to plan the after party. So boomers love to meet. I want to know what you think. I want to know what you feel. I want to be next to you. We need to talk about it. All right? Now, that might be a little strange for some of you in here, but understand one thing. The civil rights movement did not start with a text message.
Boomers have created things that last. And if there's one thing we want you to be able to do, because we're going to have some fun in our short time with you, but there's one thing I want you to be able to make sure that you understand is there's things that you and I can do. Roll up your sleeves if you're working with a boomer. Tell them what you're willing to be able to work hard for, because there's no such thing as a free ride. And we are not here just because of a paycheck. This is more than a paycheck, because many of us in this room could be doing a whole different job as well. Boomers create things that last. And as they create things that last, here's our quick cartoon, because we love the cartoons as well too. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go.
Look at the playlist now. 1970, Beatles, Stones, Doors, Temptations, Four Tops, Supreme, Stevie Wonder. Okay? 1990, Beatles, Stones, Doors, Temptations, Four Tops, Supremes, Elton John, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And in 2013, who do we have still? Beatles, Stones, Doors, Temptations, Four Tops, Supreme. Everybody, we ain't going nowhere, y'all.
Boomers, run for boomers, please. Y'all. Where's my Xers? Where's my Xers? Where's my Xers in the room? Xers. I know my Xers can appreciate that. Times change, don't they?
What happened to the hair?
Then here. Times change. I don't know what I was thinking. But my Xers in the room, my Xers. Let me hear them Xers again. Let me hear the Xers again. Xers in the room. See, Xers look at life from a different kind of way. As a parent, we look at life from a different kind of way. As a coworker, we look at life from a different kind of way. And Xers, who remembers the O.J. Chase? That's right. But Xers, think about this. We look at life from a different kind of way, because for them, the world was exploding around us, especially as kids, and there's things that we learned as well, too. See, boomers learned you got to come together, you got to be able to meet. If you don't like something, you organize, you march, you burn the broads, whatever it takes there, right? But Xers learned something else, and here's what happens. Here's your insight into Xers in our short time with you. Xers, at the end of a school day, what happened is they got out, they got onto the bus, they got home, they opened up the door, they closed the door, they pulled out their backpack, they pulled their Trapper Keeper out, they put their Trapper Keeper down. They pull off their Swatch watch, take off the Guess jeans, put off the Jordan jeans, one jelly off, two jelly off. Scrunchy goes over here, leg warmer down, put the Hot Pocket in, watch some MTV. And our Xers learned early on, you gotta take care of yourself, because who's number one? Yourself, because you spend a lot of time, because Xers learned early on, you can never count on things around you, because even something as powerful, as stable, as marriage, as jobs and security, all of these things were insolvent when Xers were coming up. Highest rates of divorce we'd ever seen, highest rates of outsourcing and reduction in forces, and Reaganomics kind of trickling down, and all of a sudden what happens is a generation learned, you better be careful. And you take care of yourself as well, in fact, and also one other thing, which is, you always have a backup plan. And I'm going to tell you the secret. If you work with an Xers, they need to have a backup plan, because what if that doesn't work? And right now, this job, make no doubt about it, they are invested in this job. They are down for this job. But Xers, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you a secret right now. They're down for this job, but make no doubt about it, every Xer in this room, raise your hand if you're an Xer, every Xer in this room, they have a backup job in their head right now. And some of them are doing it on the side. You don't even know. Because you got to have a backup plan. Now, you've got boomers who are down for the cause. I'm down for the cause. I want to be part of something as well, too. And we're going to come together, and we're going to be able to meet. We're going to have a task force. We're going to be able to meet. I want to be able to see each other. I want to see each other. Xers are like, I don't need to go to your meeting. I don't need to see you. I don't need to talk to you as well, too. Give me the job and let me do it by myself, right? And boomers learned early on, we can all come together, but we got to be even better. Phenomenon of boomers is that I get dressed up, but one day at work, it'd be so nice. I could get so much more work done if I could dress more casual. What kind of Fridays would they be? They would be dress down Fridays, casual Fridays. And Xers like, listen, I'll raise your stakes on that one. I don't even need to come in the office. I'll work at home from my PJs if you're lucky. And so all of a sudden you've got two generations that have learned to be able to look at life in two different ways. And sometimes that's where that generational conflict comes in. But my friends, there's something I need you to do. One last thing to know before we hear from our millennials. Xers learn this. And if you're working with an Xer, I want you to be able to understand this. If you're working with a boomer, tell them what you're willing to work hard for. Tell them what you're willing to roll up your sleeves. And don't text them that. Tell them that. If you're working with an Xer, you need to understand this. Your seniority does not mean credibility. Because we saw when people don't behave right. Adulthood in Crisis, National Youth Commission on Sex, Violence, and Moral Turpitude. Clinton, Lewinsky, Gingrich, Madonna, Simpson. By the way, that's OJ, not Jessica, just so you know, right? And they said, who do you think was watching? We are trying and we are watching you, and make no doubt about it. You got to be able to keep it real with us. I want to be able to always have an options. You got to give me space, and more importantly, you better come true, because if not, we can smell fake a mile away. Xers are here to stay. Xers are here, and they're working for the boomers and trying to be able to say, when are you going to get out of that job? Xers, round of applause for Xers, please. Round of applause for Xers, please. Ladies and gentlemen, your last presenter of the day, back in the day, Mr. Ahmed Touré. Mr. Ahmed Touré, Ahmed Touré. Round of applause for Ahmed Touré, please.
Back in the day, that was just like 2 weeks ago, wasn't
Exactly. Hey, Mama P, please. All right. Back in the day for me isn't as long as for everyone else, but it's okay. I'm a millennial. Are there any other millennials in the room? Millennials, where you at? All right. Well, look, I want to let everyone else in here know the millennials are the greatest generation America has ever seen. All right. Don't get excited. Don't get excited. Don't even get excited. That was a phase. That was a phase. All right. That was a phase. All right, let me tell you about our millennials really quickly, all right? Millennials, and you can nod if you agree, millennials are extremely optimistic. We're extremely confident. We feel like we can do anything we want to do, all right? Now, some people would say, you know what, y'all are a bit arrogant, you're full of yourselves, but I'm gonna tell you right now, the reason why millennials are like this is because of you, all right? You raised us to be this way. When we were young, our grandparents, our parents, you all said, you know what, you can be anything you want to be. And then you made us watch a whole bunch of Disney movies. And Disney movies said the exact same thing. I have 2 words, 6 syllables, changed every millennial's life. 2 words. Hakuna. I didn't even have to say it. Hakuna Matata was from the movie Lion King. Lion King was the highest grossing film in the 90s. Hakuna Matata was a philosophy that was preached. It said it means no worries for the rest of your days. It is our problem-free philosophy, Hakuna Matata. All right? So what that means is everything's always going to work out. So in the workplace, you know, we're kind of comfortable. We feel like, you know what? If this job doesn't work out for me, I'll just quit jobs. All right? I'll jump out of a job in a heartbeat. For a millennial, on average, we go through about 14 to 21 jobs in our career. And we're still a young generation, so that could go up, all right? Now, the reason why we will leave a job is because we feel like we're not connected there, all right? We're hyper networkers. We love Facebook. You know why? Because of our parents. Yes, it's not our fault. Our parents did this. When we started off young, they put us in Head Start. They put us in pre-K. We went to school. You go to after school. You go to summer camp. You go to church camp. You go to weekend camp. You hang out with the babysitters. We were always on the way somewhere. For a millennial, the only time we ever spent by ourselves was on the way. It was on the way to school, on the way home, on the way to practice. All right? You can look at the picture. You get 5 minutes? 5 minutes as a millennial is an eternity because we don't get that to ourselves. So when we're not by ourselves, we're around other people who are like us. And it's been like that all our lives. It started off with our camps, and then it goes off to school. We had chat rooms, right? So we're always, now we're at home on computers, hanging out with our friends, chatting with our networks. And then it gets to high school, it gets a little better. We get cell phones. Whew. Cell phones, man. Talk about angels, cell phones, man, those things. Cell phones meant that we can be anywhere in the world and still be connected to our peers. So now that we get into the workplace, we know nothing else other than being connected. And if I feel like I'm in my job and I don't feel connected with you, if we can't have a conversation at the water cooler, if I can't post a status and you like it, if we can't be Facebook friends, we're gonna leave the workplace. Because we know Hakuna Matata.
Round of applause, man, please. See, the reason why we wanted to be able to continue on Reverend's powerful story and bring it on back to kind of the world that we live in is because this conference today and tomorrow is really about how we bridge those systems together. And you and I know that sometimes those systems aren't always playing well in the sandbox. You and I know this. How we get a chance to be more combined with our efforts, still being true to our identity, but we bring this. But tied in there is knowing that the world is changing around us, which means sometimes we have to look at life from a different kind of way. Each generation has its own perspective, and I don't want you to lose that identity. More importantly, I want you to be able to remember three things of each one. Number one, with the boomer, today and after today, if you work with a boomer, go be with them in person and tell them what you're willing to work hard for. You've got to have that conversation and watch your boomer put more trust in you. If you're working with an Xer, as an Xer parent, as an Xer colleague, if you're working with an Xer, don't tell them this is the way we're going to do it. Tell them here's three different choices. You decide which one to be able to go. Because they live by, you all remember Choose Your Own Adventure books. There's that Choose Your Own Adventure. And if you're working with a millennial, you got to be able to make sure that they move in packs, and you got to be able to make sure that, well, the death of a millennial, as a staff member and even as a participant in any of our programs, is put them in a room by themselves with no wireless connection, and watch how quick they curl up in a ball and back and forth as well, too. Connected, and we build on a connected generation, but each generation has its own style, each generation has its own rhythm, and right now, my friends, I need you to represent your generation, because here's what I want you to take a look at. This is one thing for us to be able to kind of remember as well about our generations. Over time, things change. High school sweethearts in the big steps. In the 50s, let's get married first. In the 70s, let's get stoned first. In the 90s, let's get tested first. And in 2013, let's do some national service first. Every generation has its own style. Yours, right now, needs to be represented. Would you please, right now, please stand up. Push that chair in right now. Come on, stand up with me. Come on, stand up with me. Push that chair in if you would, please. Come on, push that chair in. I need everyone standing up for me now. Push that chair in. Give yourself some room now. Come on. Oh, we will never get this day again. 9, 11, 13. Now, here's what's going to happen. In a little bit, we're going to do something called a generational shuffle. What will happen is we're going to cover right now 70 years of music in the next 7 minutes. Your job is if there's a song that takes you back in the day, I want you to show these people how you move. I want these people, if it's not your song, wait for 10 seconds and we'll get you a new one. Come on, let's go. Come on. If this is your song, back in the day, oh, come on. Oh, come on now. Oh, looking good. Come on. Make that Miley happy. Come on, make Miley proud. Come on now.
You can tell the world you never was my girl. You can burn my clothes when I'm gone.
Oh, you're looking good.
Oh, you can tell your friends just what a fool I've been, and laugh and joke about me on the phone.
All hands in the air, All hands in the air. I need some swing three.
All the leaves are brown.
Shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer.
If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton?
All right, I need your help now. Come on now, I need your help. Come on, let's go. Come on.
Elvira. Elvira.
Sing it now. Oh, you sang good.
My heart's on fire for Elvira.
Hand in the air, please. Fist in the air. I need a rocket ball. Get ready. 1, 2. Red, come on, get loud, Red, come on.
You broke my wheel.
Come on, let's go get loud.
What a thrill.
Woo!
I let you love what I thought it was funny.
Come on now.
You came along and moved me, honey.
Watch what happens.
I've changed my mind. This world is fine.
Give it up for Naughty by Nature.
Watch him, watch him, watch him.
Watch the hand.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog. You're crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Crying all the time.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
To the left, to the left. To the left, to the left.
Boomers, if this is yours.
You're sweet, sweet as a honey, but like a honeybee stings, you're gonna let my heart.
Somebody tell me about Jeremiah. Come on, Jeremiah. Come on.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Was a good friend of mine.
Get ready.
I never understood a single word he said, but I helped him a drink his wine.
Uh-oh, watch out, watch out, watch out. Give yourself some space.
You know what you need to do,
Give
X.
yourself some space.
Ready?
Ladies, leave your man at home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. And all you fellas, leave your girl with her friends. Cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping, jumping.
Now look, sometimes today it takes one generational reach to be able to help from one generation to the other. It takes one action, one trying something new. Today when you go to those workshops, you get to hear your speakers, try one thing new. Today, we honor a one-hit wonder, one action. Both hands up, Carl Douglas.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. I'm on my way.
Oh, the hair. Boomers. Come on, 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 boomers.
What you want? Baby, I got what you need. All the single ladies, 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 all the single ladies.
X, you know what to do, X. You know what to do. If you had hair, show me what you do with that. 1, 2, 3, go. Sometimes we have to go back to our roots. We just
Take
gotta-
this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more. A woman done left and took all the reason I was working for. You better not try to stand
off.
We got it together, didn't we?
Now listen, my friends, listen. As we get ready to start our conference off, we have some last closing words for you. Starting off with, there was no respect for youth when I was young, and now that I'm old, there's no respect for age. I missed it coming and going. Hey! Miss Pat Kelsaw, this is yours, a new one. Let's go, come on.
First, you forget names, then you forget faces, then you forget to pull your zipper up, then you forget to pull your zipper down.
Ahmed, Ahmed, go ahead, Ahmed.
So first, we are children to our parents, and then we are parents to our children, then parents to our parents, and then children to our children.
Bring it.
And before we get to your last quote, I want to be able to tell you that you're going to have a red card on there. If you will fill out, not yet, but if you fill out the red card, we're going to send you a packet after today called From Wedding Rings to Nose Rings, Generational Difference in the Workforce. This is part of the training work that we do. We would love to be able to bring it to you. And we also want to tell you we have one of our partners in here, South Carolina Campaign to Prevent Teen Pregnancy, is doing a training on October 1st about youth culture. October 1st in the morning from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Erin Johnson, raise your hand over there. Erin's the director of training. She can help you out with that one as well, too. But as we get to here, we want to tell you thank you for being with us. And your last quote comes from a silent generation today and reminds us about how things have changed. It says, it's hard for me to use these changing times. I actually remember when the air was clean and sex was dirty. Woo! Because, ladies and gentlemen, life is changing around us. Go make that change, and here's your last proof. Generational proof of global warming.